Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for tuning into today's edition of The Buzz on Galaxy TV. And of course, we're bringing you the social media on television once again as people discuss on every platform on the internet. We keep you updated with that. My name is Patience Bello Kafo, and I welcome you to the show this lovely Tuesday afternoon, looking like it's gonna rain. Anyways, it's the 20th of February 2018. Alera is here as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Are you ready for the rain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Prepared with our cup of coffee. Yes, so that's
A hot one at that.
Yes, that's kind of like.
Well, after the coffee finish, you go outside inside.
I go and dance.
Your own
dance in the rain. A beautiful Tuesday afternoon to you out there. Today's edition of The Buzz promises to be buzzing as usual, as this particular topic finds it to be. A lot of people actually find it to be amusing, interesting, and some probably just get to look at it
annoying.
as something so annoying and irritating. I really don't want to use the word.
Depends on how the thing face you.
It face you
front or back.
Go back.
Anyhow. But anyways, you know how we do on the show. We do appreciate your interaction with us on the program, and of course we'll be looking forward to that much later on the show today. For SMS, you can do that using the number 0708-540-7508. The number is going to be on the screen shortly. Plus, all of our other social media portals are open.
Using the hashtag The Buzz, and on Facebook, www.facebook.com/GalaxyTV, and on Twitter at official Galaxy TV, knowing that you can get to watch previous editions of the program. All what you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, Galaxy TV Nigeria.
That's right, as simple as that. Now straight to our guest on the show this afternoon, sitting close by to me, making a return on the show. It's a pleasure to have him back here. He's a real estate consultant, amongst other things, and also a social media critic. It's great to have Mr. Mustafa Ewinla here with us. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Patient. Thank you very much for having me once again. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for coming. We like having you on the show.
Yes,
and also making a second appearance on the show. Of course, the phone didn't stop buzzing the first time Great was here. He's here again. So for people who like Great, I mean, we brought him back. He's a public relations and media consultant, and he's also an activist on different levels. Plus, he's a politician. I have to mention that. It's a pleasure to have Great Imo Jonathan with us on the show.
My pleasure to be here. Alero. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's get into it, and we're starting with Zuma statue and Imo State Governor. Of course, we all know that when Owele Rochas Okorocha, the governor of Imo State, decided to erect statues of certain individuals in his home state, Imo State, the move was greeted with a lot of outcry, you know, on social media and basically across the country, and even outside the shores of Nigeria, people had something to say. Now, people are now once again talking about a particular statue, the one of the ex-president of South Africa. We're talking about Jacob Zuma. And hotshot comedian Agodai went online and begged and also advised the Imo State governor to toe the line of honor by removing the statue of the erstwhile embattled South African president, who was forced to resign from office a few days ago by his party on allegations of corruption and mismanagement. According to Agodai, and I quote, "For the first time, another African leader has done the needful by listening to the voice of reason, objectivity, and took a bow from service because of the truth. Ex-President Zuma has done what is honorable in spite of all the accolades bestowed on him. I respect him for doing what an honorable man will do. It's high time Nigerian politicians stop celebrating corruption. They should be mindful of those they adore and honor as their heroes. It takes so much to validate the true reflection of a man, but at times, integrity should be the basis of all standards." And he seems to have voiced the minds of a lot of Nigerians, because people went, you know, on social media and started talking about that statue that has to come down. Now, gentlemen, before we talk about this, let's take a video clip of the governor himself, reacting to certain allegations. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
It has been my dream to change Imo State for better, and it's coming fine. It's coming fine. On assumption of office, I said, what can I do really to move this state back to where it should be ordinarily, or move it up to where it should be? And some of the things we did was involved in some revolutionary programs like the urban renewal, to change the face of the city so that people can come in and invest and do business. And for us to tell our story locally and internationally. And to create tourism as the bedrock for our development, because of what it naturally is a tourist city. Secondly, it has a lot of something to do with my Rochas Foundation, because at my 55 years of age, I decided that I should extend this Rochas Foundation to the entire Africa, for African integration. And before then, I had Rochas Foundation in Nigeria with over 15,000 children in many schools scattered all over the country. But what really brought this presidents here was, first of all, the issue of the foundation, because most of these African children were here. Most of their children from the African countries are here. And because of the understanding and partnership I reached with those presidents, they wanted to come and see for themselves what is happening at Rochas Foundation. But the economic benefit is huge. This is a state that wants to grow, and a federating unit of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now we have a center which is called the Ikemba Ojukwu Center. And Ikemba Ojukwu is known to be one of the foremost leaders of this part of the world. And we wanted to create a tourism out of that place and tell our story of leadership. I personally believe that if you don't have the spirit of sacrifice, you have no business with leadership. So we chose leaders that have distinguished themselves in both conduct and character to be so honored. Now we create what's called Hall of Fame. You see, the story that people are taking this out of context without understanding that. Now we create a Hall of Fame. We'll create a history house. We'll create a place where children can come and study. Tourism will commence from there. And we'll send it to honor leaders, African leaders who have distinguished themselves. And every leader we have honored has a story, which may be unknown to most of the people who speak out of ignorance because they do not know. But again, to have a head of state, the president of a country, visit a state, is something to be applauded. Because the cost is theirs to start with. The cost is theirs. I mean, it took, when President Zuma came here, we know we received over 8-something people advanced him here, who came here. And the president himself came. So you talked about the price of the status for 520 million naira for Rochas. Those who know Rochas or Okorocha will tell you it's not true. Nothing even imaginable to that. But it would be wrong for me to start announcing the price of the value of the statue. Yeah, because you know why? You know why I find it difficult to tell you in person? Because you, the same person, I will go back and say, hey, it was such a cheap statue. So you see what I'm talking about? My statue is not cheap, it's expensive.
Apologize for the audio quality of that clip, but in essence, what Rochas or Okorocha was trying to say in that clip is his vision was to open up the state, Imo State, you know, especially for tourist attraction, which is one of the reasons why, you know, those statues had to come in the first place. And he made bold to say that those statues are not cheap. Okay, so I'd like to start with grades because I know you're from that part of the country. So let's talk about this infamous statues, you know, by the Imo State governor and the whole vision of it.
Well, I'm not a part of Imo State government.
I know,
and,
I know that.
I don't think I've been personally briefed about the motivation behind those statues, but he had mentioned what motivated him, tourism, and some of those things. But beyond that, I want to say that it's only a question of what is a priority. That is where I see it as a challenge. There's nothing wrong in appreciating and also honoring those who have made the continent proud. As much as Jacob Zuma have fallen out of favor with people of South Africa, but we must not also forget he made a huge sacrifice, to bringing down the apartheid rule in South Africa. Just about the age of 15 or thereabout, he enlisted and was in the bush, was trained as a guerrilla the fighter, fought seriously, was on the forefront of the battle, led crisis zones for several years. For over 40 years, he has put in enormous effort of his personal effort to bring in South Africa. But sometimes the problem is not with success; it's maintaining success. If he had considered that as a reason for honoring him, like some other great African leaders who stood against apartheid and even fought against colonial masters, that would be a good reason. If he also said it's for purpose of tourism, I wouldn't understand. But I also know that also Jacob Zuma also runs a foundation like Rochas. I think they have
something in common.
Yeah, they have something in common, different from being different government officials.
Okay.
And if that is part of the reason for which he did it, because I also want to believe there should be a return on investment.
Exactly.
If the statue was put there, we should be able to say there is a benefit. And the only thing I want to find out is what is the benefit. I will not just jump up and start condemning outrightly. Just to find out from him, what is the return on investment. Therefore, whatever we do, that in private sector, return on investment and profit is shared by the individuals who own. But in public sector, it is reinvested for the purpose of the good of the greatest number of the generality of the people. So if these people who are arguing for can also come up with cogent reasons why this must be supported, okay. But for general purpose, Nigerians, I feel, are disappointed based on what they consider priority for now. That is what I think. It's not that it's a bad idea. This is not the first statue in Nigeria. We have had statue of Awolowo in Lagos. Nobody's fighting over that. We have had the statue of Ikenga, very prior to this time. We have had statue, even there was a time it was a subject of crisis in Oyo State when some of those that were erected before were brought down. Some of these people also based on faith perspective may also consider this as maybe idol worship or something. So but it depends on the angle from which you're looking at it and from which party. Sometimes also things are politicized. If you are an APC member in Imo State, you may likely see things from governor's perspective. If you are PDP, you may not likely see it that way. So in doing this thing, we must also try to balance thoughts on how these things are.
I haven't said all this because down to the layman that actually uses the social media to get talk, all what you're just saying is not going to make any sense to them. Because one, we have a lot of youth that are even hungry in that same Imo State, and you're spending close to
salaries are not paid
million naira. Mr. Winla, you know what it is to space your real estate agent, so you know what it is, that space on its own.
Well, for me, if I have to come in, when I read about the statue, I found it laughable, and that's because I sat and thought about, okay, where is the nexus between the visit of President Jacob Zuma and Imo State? Now, he visited Imo State to partner with Rochas Foundation on a business basis, not for political reasons. Now,
or for national benefits.
For national benefit, maybe. On his visit, he was conferred a chieftaincy title. On this same visit, a major road was named after him. On this same visit, a statue worth over 530 million, like I read, was built for him on just one visit. Now, where the problem is that I do not really get clearly why that statue had to be put up. That's the truth. Now, he is saying that he did it for tourist reasons and also to honor, President Jacob Zuma. But for crying out loud, President Jacob Zuma resigned last week, 14th of February, which was a big Valentine's gift for South Africans.
Africa.
Yes. Owing to corruption allegations. So now, how do you celebrate somebody that his own people have rejected?
Well, that came after the statue.
Okay,
What's
now.
allegations?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. 1 minute. So now, the statue was put up before his resignation. Yes. But now that it is established that he resigned based on
questionable
corruption,
character, yes.
You can't celebrate somebody.
So what happens to the statue? That's what people
For
are
me,
saying.
that statue needs to be pulled down immediately.
That's what people are saying. What
Well, don't you
happens to
think
that
it's going to
statue?
be a waste of money?
Waste of resources.
20 million naira gone.
Gone.
For me, I'm going to say, for posterity's sake, I think at this point we don't need to lay more emphasis on the money. Now we have to look at the side effects. Because I mean, when people now grow up, yes, no doubt, Jacob Zuma fought for the freedom of South African people, no doubt, no doubt. But he has not really had a smooth government, governance during his reign as presidency, no doubt. Sometimes 2005 he was charged for rape. Yes, he was acquitted, no doubt. But then, I still do not establish any nexus between these two scenarios. If you visit now, last time I checked, there are more pressing issues in Imo State that should have been attended to, rather than putting up a statue. What's that amount? And I know if I want to have an idea of how much his visit would have cost, it will run into billions of money.
The visit, I think the cost of the visit is not it's not on Nigeria. I think it's at their own expense.
Well,
I'm thinking so. Yes.
Okay, well, they hosted him. So now, we are particularly not. I mean, we don't really have any issues with them hosting him, no doubt. But then, when the upcoming generations grow up and they tend to see Jacob Zuma's statue and they dig into archives to know what happens to him when he resigned, then it does not correlate.
Okay. All right, now the clamor by the youths of that state now is that since this man has been ousted,
exactly,
the statue has to come down.
It has to come down.
So that posterity will not judge him, because the young ones who are coming who don't know who Zuma is today, tomorrow will ask the question, who is this man? So that posterity does not, remember him in a negative way. You get what I'm saying?
As I speak to you now, as I speak to you now, the secretary of PDP in the state, in Imo State right now, is even clamoring that all the monies that was spent on Zuma when he visited should be refunded. And that statue needs to be
brought down.
I'm telling you. That's what he's clamoring for.
Anyway, that is playing to the gallery. But let me explain that. On a serious note, what I had mentioned earlier was that the serious thought should be what should be priority for the people of Imo State. It's not that having a statue or celebrating an individual is entirely bad on its own. Now, be that as it may, people have complained that the statue should be brought down. Does it really make sense? Because now he's no more in government. Johnson Salif is no more in government. Should it be whether they are in government or not? It's not. I don't think it's a spot of the moment thing. And in trying to address this, it's not going to be a one-off thought, because we have spent money. We also need to know if there were benefits. Are you getting me? Yes. There's possibility of benefit. And like I mentioned earlier, based on the information at our own disposal, based on the public comments we've been reading and all of that, we could make a fair judgment, but it may not be absolutely fair. So you may want to find out, you may even discover that Zuma hadn't made promises towards supporting some initiatives in Imo State. Imo State may have received some grants. We should also find out if we built a statue for 530 million naira and maybe we got a $1 billion, which is about 320 billion, this will be profitable. So that's why I say we should put in the perspective of what is return on investment. Is there any return on investment? If we don't have that information, I may not be able to make comments on that. But the character of Zuma, the question will be, the role he played as a freedom fighter and as a president, they are two different things. Somebody may decide to celebrate him for the role he played as, and may not celebrate him for having been a president. Sometimes that you are visible does not mean you are capable. Some people are visible, but when they give an opportunity,
when they assume that position,
so for the fact that he had fought for
Very
freedom, may not have meant that he was supposed to be in the next line of leadership, in line for leadership. He could have played that role, and without becoming a president, he would have retired honorably.
True.
There have been people who fought for independence in Nigeria who never tested presidency. I remember Dr.
In the annals of history,
late Nnamdi Azikiwe was saying, it didn't matter to me if it was Awol or Abubakar or I that become the president. What was I was interested in that Nigeria gets independence and we make progress.
True.
And eventually, he compromised to allow Tafawa Balewa to become, the prime minister, so that we have a cosmopolitan Nigeria. Such sacrifices could have also been made, because knowing that, okay, maybe Zuma didn't have the capacity, but that does not also remove from the fact that he played a role. When that, so we
the
must
question is, should that statue come down?
Well, it will be a decision of the Imo people, because I don't think if that statue was erected, morally speaking, what is moral here? Is it the celebration of heroic exploits of Zuma?
It's in the representation. What is the statue representing?
There's where I'm looking at it. That is why the people who don't understand this aspect of history of Zuma may be looking at Zuma's statue from the perspective of being a president.
Yeah.
So I can bet you that many people did not know that Zuma actually put in 40 years of his life for South Africa. And if you read that history, if you read the suffering, if you read it, it could be emotional too. Like it can be emotional. This generation discussing just the statue sees new Zuma only from the presidency perspective. So the man who is discussing Zuma from the struggle may have a moral ground to say leave it. But the man who is discussing Zuma from the perspective of the failure of the government may say bring it down right now. But whichever way you look at it, even you sitting here, there is a good and the bad aspect of you.
True.
But until you are put on the spotlight, you never can tell who
But
you are.
but you know something, great. Now you're talking about history, because it's still going to go down history that he was removed, he actually resigned from office due to corruption allegation. So that's also going to join his own history that he fought for South Africans way back then. Another thing that we get to have in mind again is when the statue of the thing actually came up, a lot of Easterners that are based in South Africa had issues in South Africa. So they were clamoring for them to have even brought down the statue before Zuma,
even before the resignation of Zuma. That's very true.
So what are we saying now about history? We all get to remember the negative things than the positive things.
Now,
I
have a challenge that there is a state, there is the Imo State House of Assembly. There are council of elders. There are, as much as there is a Rochas who's a governor, I didn't think that if Imo people actually did not want this thing, that it would just be a Facebook talk like we have everyday talk. I need to see strong agitation. I need to see protest. I need to see, even including the PDP chairman, PDP should have enough population in Imo State to mobilize people to say, okay, if this population of people in Imo State, it's democracy is a game of numbers. Let's see the numbers. Who challenge this in not Facebook comments? Sometimes Facebook is a cheaper place to take a position. Let's move to the street and do the
state has vowed that that statue is not going to be removed.
Yes, because we spent a lot of money on it.
He's just a governor for today. He will not be governor forever. Whatever he vows, it is still the popular opinion that will reign. But we want to see the popular opinion beyond the Facebook comments.
Okay, into something a bit more concrete.
Tangible.
All right, Benjamin from Agege is reacting and saying the statue must come down. Okay, I think why the issue of this statue, from the onset became such an issue was because of priority. It was at a time when the country had issues with recession. People were, suffering from so many things. Workers were not being paid. Pensioners weren't receiving their dues and all of that. And then the governor of a state took the whole thing beyond everybody's imagination.
That was why I said priority was the key issue that defined this crisis.
This whole thing.
Priority coupled with the recent happening with President
Even while he was even before the removal of the resignation of Zuma, there were some protests of some kind on social media.